Well, the biggest problem in the world today is that people do not know what the biggest problem in the world today is. They can see the impact, they can see the fallout from the biggest problem, but they don't know what's causing it. The fallout I can put into one word: alienation. We are seeing a higher level of alienation, of separation between people than I have ever seen in my lifetime on this planet. There's anger and alienation between people. People of different races, people of different colors, people of different political persuasions, people of different religions, people of different economic status. If there's any difference between people, we find ourselves alienated. The poor are alienated from the rich. The non-Christians and the Christians are alienated. The conservatives and the liberals are alienated. The people of different color skins are alienated. The straights are alienated from the gays. Everybody's mad at everybody else. And we don't know why. I've never seen it like this. We've always had differences of opinion, Samuel. That's been common in the human experience, but not at this level, where we don't even want to see anybody from another country in our country. What are you doing here? Get out. You don't belong here. So that is the fallout. That is the outcome of the biggest problem in the world today. But we don't know what's causing this sudden upheaval in human society. And we think it's maybe an economic problem, maybe it's a political problem, maybe it's even a military problem. Maybe we can solve it by dropping bombs on it or sending missiles in the air or somehow trying to find a way to get our way. But the problem, Samuel, is a spiritual problem. And nobody sees that. Nobody believes that the problem really that's facing humanity, the biggest problem in the world today, is a spiritual problem. It has to do with what we believe about who we are, about our relationship with each other, about what the purpose of life is, and basically about our fundamental identity. So the problem I can put into one word is our belief in, and here's the one word, separation. We think that we are separate from everybody else. We don't get that we're all in the same boat, to use an American phrase. We're all in the same boat together. We don't get that. We don't understand that we are all one. We think that we're separate from each other because of our differences, because we have different color skin, or different political views, or different economic status, or different sexual preferences, or different religious beliefs. And because we have these differences, we think that differences create separation. And so we want no one around us except those who agree with us. Otherwise, we don't want anyone around us. Only those who agree with us. Build a wall. Keep the foreigners out. Throw them out. What are they doing here? They're ruining our society. And that's been what's been going on in America and in many places in Europe and around the world in the most recent years. And that's the biggest problem facing humanity today. We've always had disagreements, but I've never seen it at this level. So what's new about the problem is the level, the intensity at which we are expressing our anger and our upset and our annoyance and our intolerance with each other. I've never seen lack of tolerance so prominently displayed as I have seen in these most recent days and times. So no, the problem itself is not new, but what's new is the intensity of the intolerance. I may write a book called The Intensity of the Intolerance, because that's what the problem is. It has to do with what we internally believe about who we are and why we're here and what is the purpose of life and what is our actual nature. What is it when we use the phrase human nature? What do we mean by the phrase human nature? And what is our true identity? So that's an internal experience, that's an internal choice, that's an internal decision. But it also has to do with our external life. How much are we willing to tolerate? How much of what's now happening in the world are we willing to say is okay with us? Is it okay with us for us to treat each other the way we are treating each other? So we have a fundamental question to ask, Samuel. The question that we have to ask is, who are we as a species? Who do we choose to be as a species called humanity? What is the true definition of humanity? What is the highest characteristic of humanity? Our relationship with each other and our very reason for existing. And we also we have a very high level of misunderstanding about our true identity. See, Samuel, we have to make a decision as a species. Are we physical creatures? Basically just physical creatures? Like, whales or, dolphins in the ocean, birds in the air, fish in the sea? Are we simply life forms that are born, we live, we die, and that's the beginning and the end of it? Or is there something more to this? Are we more than simply chemical creatures, more than simply high-level mammals? Is it possible? I ask, just possible, that we are spiritual entities, having a body and a mind, but that we are not our body and our mind, we're something more than that. And if we really agree that we are more than that we are actually spiritual entities, then we have to ask the fundamental question, what are we doing here? What is our purpose? If we are spiritual entities, why are we in a physical body? And why are we in a physical universe? What are we doing here? Those are the questions that no one is placing before humanity. Not the Pope, not the chief imam, not the head rabbi, no one. No one of our worldwide spiritual leaders, not one of our worldwide political leaders, not one of our worldwide captains of business and industry, no one is asking the only question that matters. The solution is to both ask and answer the question, who am I? Who are we as a species? What is our relationship to life? What is our collective relationship with each other? And what is our relationship with the aspect of the divine that we call God, Yahweh, Brahman, Jehovah, whatever word we want to use to refer to that ineffable essence that is the essential essence of the universe. So we have to both ask and answer the question. And in the Essential Path, I pose the question and I offer an answer for humanity to consider. I believe that if humanity embraced the answer that has been offered, we could change our human experience virtually overnight. Yes, with individual expressions, individual demonstrations of the same energy. I like to use the analogy like the fingers on your hand, because I was told, Neale, just hold up your hand in front of your face and look at the 5 fingers on your hand. Each of them are different. Each of them look different, behave differently, have different capabilities and different functions. They're not identical in any way, and yet they are each part of the same hand and the hand is part of the same body. So they are all one being, but expressed differently. And if we understand that every living entity is simply a finger on the hand of God, if I could use a metaphor, then we would see that it doesn't work for the thumb to try to cut off the little finger. We're only hurting ourselves. We think that if we can cut off the little finger because it's different from the thumb, that we will eliminate the problems facing the hand. But that's not how you're going to heal the body human. The body human can only be healed by understanding that all of its individual demonstrations are singular expressions of the only thing there is, the essential essence of the universe that I call God. Forget about politics, forget about economics, forget about social media and social systems, and for heaven's sake, forget about warfare. For goodness sake, forget about bombs and missiles. And for once, consider the only area that we have not considered. It's not politics, it's not economics, it's not military might, it's our spirituality. Humanity's spirituality is where the solution to humanity's problem will be found. I'm not trying to sell. I want to make this clear to your listeners. This isn't about Neale trying to sell more books. My goodness, Samuel, forgive me for putting it so bluntly, but I've already sold several million copies of my books. I don't need more books to be sold. So this is not about Neale trying to sell more books. This is about Neale hoping to send a message to everybody who's hearing me that the problem can be solved. The problems we are seeing on the earth, the problem with the climate crisis, the problem with the economic disparity between people and nationalities, the problem of our spiritual differences, the problem created by our political differences, the problems that we are seeing now in our military and using rifles and bullets and bombs and missiles to solve our problems, as we are still doing on this very day on this planet in Syria right now. Even as we're talking, we're seeing us trying to solve our problems with guns and bullets, even in the year 2019 when we should know better. Surely there's another way to solve humanity's problems, but we adamantly refuse to look at the fundamental beliefs that are driving the engine of our political, economic, and social systems. Somebody has to stand up and say, is anybody noticing that we keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting to get a different result? Samuel, that's the definition of humanity's insanity. That's the definition of insanity. Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting to get a different result. It's not going to happen. You're going to create the same result you've always created. More animosity, more alienation, more anger, more people dying, more bullets flying. My God, when will we wake up? See, if we're waiting for our leaders to do it, it's never going to happen. The average person is the person who's going to have to change it. We need an evolution revolution. We need people at the universal level of humanity at all levels, the rich and the poor, the gay and the straight, the male and the female, the black and the white, the conservative and the liberal. We need all of us to gather together and to say, wait a minute, this can't be the best we can do as a civilization. There must be more that we can do, and all of us need to step forward and step out. In the book, The Essential Path, I describe specifically tools we can use to heal humanity's alienation from each other. I hope that everyone will find a copy of that book, The Essential Path, and will give it to their friends when they're finished reading it, and will self-select select themselves to be among those who choose to shift the evolutionary path of humanity by modeling, by exemplifying, by demonstrating who we really are.